So welcome to Friday. It's Simply Scrappy. I'm Tessa with Tessa Scrapbooks, and today I'm going to work through secret box number 2. And as we've been working on, if the stream is too bad, I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. The recording will be clean and will go to YouTube this afternoon. So if it's too much to follow the way it is, just find me in a little bit and it should be a little bit better, a little bit easier to follow. So we're working on the secret box number 2, and that comes with a project booklet. So when you got the kit, you should have got the postcard with the QR code that you scan, and it gives you the ability to print the handouts. Yeah, it is easier, probably better to watch this the first time than try to work along. I have a feeling it's going to go a little faster than some of you can work. One of the pieces I messaged Megan is like, it has like 17 cuts in one of the sheets of paper. So it is a lot. So the secret box comes with the QR code, you get the booklet, and here we have all of the pieces. And then the fun part about it was it does come with the bicycle border maker cartridge. So this was the only way to get the BMC that went with the secret box. So we're going to start with a cut guide. So just as a review before we get started, it lists the ingredients you need, which is basically all the secret box, the border maker system, the trimmer, and then tape, of course. And then we are going to work through the cut guide, cutting all of these pieces. So I said, look at this one, like 17 pieces or something in there. There's a lot of paper and a lot of pieces to cut. So this will be interesting. And we'll do some punching as we go, and then we'll piece together these. So if it goes too fast for you, I would just come back around when it's recorded, and then you can slow down and work through it. So I'm going to set my embellishments to the side. It comes with a nice border pack, and then these are some foam stickers. So it has a little bit of dimension to it, which will be fun to play with. The Bright Delight is the paper pack. It is 12 sheets. I think we're going to move through most of this. Then we have the Bright Cardstock Sampler, so it has 2 sheets of each of these colors. I don't know why they put the green on top, because it is like the one that hurts your eye. I think it would have been a prettier pack if they like put the blue on top or put the pink on top before they packaged it. It wouldn't have been quite so intense. So yeah, Sandy, it is a lot of pieces. I told Megan, I said, I'm regretting my life choice that I committed to doing this live. I did the Copper Canyon one, and it was fine. You know, we worked through it, but this is going to be quite a bit of work. So I think I have all my pieces we'll work through. I have not made these in advance, so we will be figuring this out together as we go. So I'm going to set my cutting guide off to the side. You probably won't be able to see it. And we're going to start with paper number 1. And it's calling it the grid paper. So these look like the green arrows. That will be the second paper. We have some blues down here. Here is the blue grid. The back of it is the flowers. So as I cut my pieces, on the cutting guide, it does have like numbers on each piece that are not numbers, letters that will coordinate and help you figure out later. I am going to stack up all of my pieces of paper as I cut them, and then I will have different piles of each paper. And so then when I go to put that together, the layouts, I'll just pull out of my pile. So it will help if you have some extra workspace around you that you can kind of sit your piles of cut paper into. I find sometimes it's easier for me to do that than I don't want to write a letter on them or a post-it note. To me, that's just extra effort. In the end, it doesn't help me too much. So that's the way I approach it. So the first one is the grid. The back side, I don't know if we're using anything in the back. It does say we're going to use reverse side, but this print is non-directional, so it doesn't matter which direction that we cut it. And this one too, the other, I grabbed the square punch. It does have some 1 3/4 squares on the layouts, quite a bit of them. I'm going to try to punch them instead of cut them. As you've seen in some of our classes, cutting everything exactly to 1 3/4. Sometimes you get some slight variation. I'm going to see if we can punch them so they really are all the same. And so with my first cut, it looks like we have 4 by 6 and 6 by 6 or 8 by 6. I'm going to have to pull my readers out too to see some of these pieces. Okay, 4 by 6, and then we're going to cut this in half. So it will be 2 4 by 6 pieces, and then I'm going to be trying to cut squares out of one of these. So I'm going to leave that for last. So I have the 4 by 6, and then this piece, which is 8 by 6, I'm going to cut in half for 2 6-inch pieces. Then we have this piece. It shows you on the cutting guide that they are punching out 6 squares of 1 3/4. I'm going to go through and punch them. I got to stay real close to the edge so that I can fit all 6 onto the paper. If you don't have the square punch, just use your trimmer. To get all of those. It had a little bit of extra paper, so there is a little bit of a buffer to get all of these pieces. And I find the punching really is faster than the cutting. So that is it for the designer piece number 1, the grid paper. Our next is the green arrows, which is right here on top, designer paper number 2. We have to do some punching and then cutting first. So if you notice, starting from the left, we have E and F, which are both punch then cut. So I do have my border maker system ready here with the rolling bike. If you feel, these skinny strips, sometimes they get caught up in there. If you ever feel a piece of your punch or paper get stuck, stop and get it clear. If you keep going, you're going to catch something and tear it. This pieces want to pull out. If you have to move back in, remember the little notch lines up with the notch. You can try to go straight in, but you got to pay attention to the bikes over here. Their bikes aren't going to like to slide back in very well. So if you do have to pull out your punch, you risk kind of pulling on that. So got that one. I got to go a little slower than I'm used to. You guys have seen me crank down punches sometimes. I go pretty fast. So after we cut that one, we're going to cut it at 1 7/8. I'm going to flip it to cut it. I know this goes out to 1 3/4. They must say 1 7/8 for a reason. So as a reminder, on our eighths, the middle is 4/8. So we have 4. Then we have 6/8 is a 3/4. So 7/8 is not the very last line, but the one right before it. And then I have to repeat that step. Punch, then cut. This one definitely, I have to go a little slower. Those little pieces want to get caught. And then it kind of bends your bike when you go back into it. It's an exercise in patience. Make sure your paper is cleared. There we go. And again, we're cutting this one to 1 7/8. And then moving through the rest of this cut guide, we need to cut 2 sections of 4. So go ahead and cut 4 inches. We'll have 2 long strips. The first one we're going to cut in half, or not quite in half. We're going to rotate it, and then a 4x4. And then we need 2 2x8 pieces. So this is going to be G and S. Then we have our last 4-inch. We need to cut off a 6-inch, and then we are going to punch out the same squares. They have the square maker in the recently buy one get one punches. Hopefully, if you had been holding off and getting it, you grabbed it during that promo. I'm punching 6 of these again. And that is piece number 2, the green arrow. Got my little pile here off camera. And then the next designer paper number 3 are the purple sprinkles. This one is a little bit simpler. We're cutting 3 4-inch strips. And then we're going to rotate them and cut them down a little bit further. The first one will be 4x8. And then this little, the 4x4 section that comes off the end, this is extra. So for me, it's always helpful just to put that completely to the side. I don't get that mixed in with pieces that I should be using. And the second row, we do have a 4x6. And then a 2.5 and a 2.5. And the little piece that's extra is also scrap. So you can set this off to the side too. So that's piece number 3, not too bad with the purple. Piece number 4 are pink stripes. It looks like their stripes are going horizontal. We need a couple of 1-inch cuts to start. I'm going to cut those over to the right of my trimmer. And then we need an 8-inch section. This strip is extra. You can put that in your extra pile. Of the 8 inches, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and cut up 4 inches. And then we have to rotate it back. So we need the long section. So your stripes are horizontal again. We need a 4-inch. We need a 4x4. I'm going to go ahead and get my 4x4. The rest of this is extra. You can put that in your extras pile. And then you have this piece that we just need the 6 squares out of. And the bottom of it is extra. So you can try to cluster your squares again at the top just to leave that extra on there. When it has that gray shading on the cut guide, it means it's not used in the layout. It doesn't mean it's not useful in another way. So we need 6 of these again. And then this goes in my extras pile. Well, we got through the first page of the cutting guide. There is a note that we need to pay attention to, that when we do the bikes, on the blue paper. That's coming up, so we want to keep this close to remind ourselves. So we're moving on until the second page, so we have 6 more papers to cut through. Most of these don't look too bad, but this first one is the doozy, my goodness. So piece number 5, which is the multicolored stripes. And that was, I think, the back of the pink we just had. So again, these stripes are going horizontal. I'm going to start left to right. So I'm going to start with those 1 inches. So W. Let me get my pink strips over up here in their pile. Okay, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1-inch strips. This is probably a record for the number of pieces cut out of one in a project I've done with Creative Memories. I would never have this many cuts and doing a class. And if Megan ever had this many cuts out of one paper, I would for sure give her slack about that. I told her, it's like, this is more complicated than page makers. I mean, the layouts are cute and they do spread the color around well, which is the point. I mean, I think these stripes are going to end up on multi-pages pulling it all together. Okay, so there's 6 1-inches. And then now these are 1/2 inch. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1/2 inch strips. It looks like 4 of them are 12 inches and 4 of them are 10.5. So I think it's going to be easier if we cut the 10.5 before we do the 1/2 inches. So I'm going to do 4 to start. And then I need, so this is a 1/2 inch, so 2 inches and 10.5. The rest of it's going to be extra. So depending on how you want your extra to look, we can cut this whole thing in half. Not half. I keep saying half. We can rotate it, cut it all at 10.5. This is going to be extra. And then I need 4 1/2 inch strips, and the rest of it is extra. This way, our 10.5s are all the same lengths. I did tell Megan, as she was talking about making something else with this box, she usually does her own layouts for her all access group. I suggested she do a simpler style so people that perhaps did not want to get this involved had an alternative. They will be beautiful. I don't know what I'm going to put on there. I need to go through and find younger pictures of the twins. I'm sure I have pictures from when they were younger, more youthful photos to go with these bright summer colors. That should be 4 of the 10.5. Okay. Nope. Maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I have all 4. Okay, so this is all extra. Now my pile of strips, I'm going to sit up here, separate from the other paper we cut. Okay, piece number 6 are the fruits. The nice thing about this set is the papers were easy to differentiate. The fruits are on the back of the green arrows. It doesn't look like it matters the direction that we have it per se. I'm going to cut mine. So when I look at this paper where the fruit is wider than it is taller, it looks like that we are going to have long strips with the fruit sitting like that. So I'm going to rotate it. So my fruits are skinnier and they're taller. And then we're going to start at 4 inches, 4 inches, and then we need 2 1-inch pieces. This definitely reminds me of the 80s. That was the vibe most people commented on. Could go back and see if my mom has any pictures of me growing up in the 80s, although my guess is our photos are not as vibrant as this paper. So this is piece number 6, the fruits. Stick that up there. Piece number 7 are the orange dots. The back of it is the sunshine. We're going to start with an 8-inch cut. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees and cut it at 6 inches. So that's 8 by 6. The rest of this is extra or the square. So you can choose if you want to have that whole strip extra. If you do use the punch, you're going to have to, try to get them side by side. I think we'll have enough room. They want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They want 6 squares. I'm going to use my punch. Get 6 out of here. Just keep it tight, but if you punch from the back, you can see where you're punching. It should be easy enough to get 6 close together and still have a little bit of paper left over if you want to make an extra border or punch some extra embellishments. I have a feeling, though, that these layouts are not going to need anything else besides your photos. So there's 6 of the orange squares. And then this is extra. Piece number 8 are the ice cream cones. And so if we look at the ice cream cones are facing up and down, and we're going to rotate this to cut it. We need 2 1-inch pieces there off the bottom. I'm going to use a reverse side. And then what's left, we're going to cut this in half. Not in half. We're going to cut it in 2. I swear, words come out of my mouth sometimes. I don't really mean them. I don't mean in half. We're going to cut it in 2 pieces at 5 inches and 7 inches. So I will cut it at the 7. We went and got ice cream last night. So last night was Cooper's final orchestra concert of the school year. And so it is tradition, usually after the orchestra concerts, we stop and get ice cream. Last night we chose Dairy Queen. The kids got Blizzards and I got the Peanut Buster Parfait. I haven't had one of those in many years with the hot fudge and the peanuts on there. Piece number 9 is the yellow suns. This one we have to punch and then reverse. And it looks like after this one we'll be punching the blue dots. And the blue dots is where we're going to punch at an offset. So it looks like the yellow one we punch normally. It doesn't seem to matter which way we pull paper in. So if you guys go for ice cream, what is your go-to? What flavor do you guys usually pick? My go-to, if we go to Dairy Queen, if I'm going to get a Blizzard, unless they have like a special limited edition one that's enticing, I do like the Heath Toffee. I like the Oreo. I liked just a simple dip cone. That's kind of what I wish I'd gotten last night. The parfait was bigger than I anticipated. So it was a little bit much for me. Okay, we punched it, and now we have to cut it at the 1 7/8 the same. I think we're going to use the back. We're going to use the orange. But I need to flip it over here so I can get to that 7/8 line. And I'm going to repeat this. But this is yellow, so I'm going to stack them up with the yellow up so I don't get it confused with the orange we've already done. Chris is saying she likes Moose Tracks. If we go, so there's another ice cream shop. There's a couple here in town that are good that have more like homemade ice cream, not Dairy Queen ice cream. And if I'm going to get that kind, toffee, of course, is still at the top of my list. But I like the butter pecan, the praline. I usually gravitate towards ones. Moose Tracks is good. These, you have to be really careful. Try not to bend my bicycle. Although I do have them, I'll have to go see if I have pictures. So last year, they've been converting the railroad by my house to a trail. And we rode bikes up north to where it's connecting in the town north of us. And we had just gotten up there, and there's some spots that weren't quite done. It wasn't like crossing the roads and whatnot. And so Campbell popped a little bit of a wheelie to get up onto the trail again, and her tire popped. And we were the farthest away from home we were going to be. And my neighbor, we were out with my neighbor and her daughter, and she came back and walked with me, and I let Campbell take my bike, and we walked it home. And along that part of the trail, like she's like, we could go get the car, but there's nowhere for the car to cross. By the time you could get the car close, you're like almost home. Okay, so we punched and cut twice, and then the last piece out of the yellow is 4 1/4. And then the rest of this sunshine is extra. So set that over here. Okay, the blue dots. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. If you like the design on the front where they offset the bikes, we have to offset the way that we punch. And so on the front page of your, not the very front page, but the first page of your cutting guide, I don't even know where I just put mine. I probably buried it. I did practice this before I got my camera, so I was confident in it. So the directions are up here. And so what it's telling us is you need a pencil. We're going to make some pencil marks. And we've done techniques like this along the way using our punches upside down. And we're going to mark it at 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 inches. And then we're going to use that and flip our cartridge over and punch it with that at the tip. And so we can't use our paper holder because we're not fitting into the paper into the same as we would normally. So it sounds harder than it looks. So you do need a ruler. You can use your cutting mat. You just need something. And a pencil is ideal because it will just kind of give you that little shimmer where you can see your mark. And then it's going to punch away and we won't see it. So I'm making little pencil marks at every 2 inches. And then I have my bike, and I'm going to put this upside down. And so where you have the pencil mark is where you want to feed it kind of to the bike seat a little bit. It's a little bit offset, just kind of eyeball where the center is. Feed your paper all the way up in there, and then punch it. And then we're going to move down. And so then your next spot should line up so we're punching pretty similarly to the edge of it, where you're going to lose that space in between. So you can see I have my row. You can also look so like the square line there, you just have to kind of, handle it a little bit, get it lined up. If you squeeze down just a little bit, it will hold it, and you can always flip it if you need to. And then once you get through your row, we can just use scissors to clean up the ends. Just do a little bit of a curvy cut. And then we have to trim this off and do it again. I don't think flipping the paper would work because we only have 5 punches, not 6. So you can see if you put this in the paper holder and look at where your lines are, you would normally punch. We're punching between that. So you're not going to be able to put the cartridge down into the holes to get it punched up against the edge of the paper, which is why we have to hold it and not use the paper holder. And we're going to trim this to 1 7/8. Use whichever side allows you to visualize it a little bit more. And then we have to repeat that whole process. It's not too bad. It's just time consuming. It does give it a very cute layered effect. But yeah, I'll have to go back and see if I have pictures from that day. I could document our story with one of these layouts. I know I don't have enough for 6 pages. Bike riding is not my favorite physical activity. It is this makes my bum hurt sitting on the seat for that long. And it's just so quad dominant. I feel like my quads burn out faster. I like walking. It feels more balanced. You just can't get very far. So I'll do a bike ride. It's just not usually my first choice. But sometimes we bike down to the farmer's market. It's about 5 miles, and the trail takes us straight there. So it's a fun little Saturday morning sometimes. If I'm ever here on a Saturday morning, it won't be tomorrow. One 7/8 one more time. We're almost through this, and then we will start putting them together. Okay, so there's my second row of bikes, and then I need 6 inches of the blue dots. This is extra. You have quite a bit in your extra pile. We're going to rotate this 90 degrees and cut it at 8 inches, which will leave us 4. And that should be the end of the cut guide. And then we're going to start laying out all of our projects. So that wasn't too bad. I think we're done with our trimmer. I'm going to set mine to the side right now. Take a second to clean up your workspace. Get what you don't need out of the way. And I need the rest of these papers, obviously, will probably be base papers. So I need them close at hand, but I don't need them sitting on my station. Looks like for the first one, we're using the Pulsar Pink and the Planetary Purple as our base papers. I'm going to pull those, set the rest of them up to the side. Put your hand out where you can see it. I'm going to straighten myself up a little bit more. Let's bring it up. Take a moment, reset. Get a little drink. Bonus point, who knows what's in my cup? It's not water. You guys, I feel like you should know me so well by now. What do I love to drink in the afternoons? What's in your cup? I'll give you a second, see if anybody gets it. Okay, so we have our pulsar pink on the left side, planetary purple on the right side, and then we need to find our A and B pieces, and then G and H. This is where it can be helpful to keep your cutting guide papers close by, so that you can go back and think, okay, what is piece A and B and whatnot, to remind you. So A and B were the grids. So the first stack of paper, these 8x6 for the back side, is the flowers. Jenny's right, it's Coke Zero. It is my bad habit in the afternoon. Then the pieces G and H were green. They came out of the green arrows. They're the 2x8. Actually, they're going to go at the bottom, looks like. And then we need pieces Q and T. So Q was a purple sprinkle. It was the long 4x8. And T is the pink stripes. And then looks like they use borders. So looks like we can go ahead and adhere. So grab your favorite adhesive. I'm going to make sure I'm lined up on my mat. And we're going to start about 1.5 inches down from the top. Judith, I've had green tea. I've had hot green tea. It is okay, but I don't think I could drink it every day. I'd had a close friend that would drink it every afternoon. And so I did try for a period of time. It just was not my cup of tea. Not quite the same kick. If you need to, you can use repositional tape to get these down. The green is going to go under. This pink is like glows. Then we're going to do the right side. Jenny is saying in the comments that Coke Zero has less caffeine. I'll have to compare. I just prefer the taste. There's something about Diet Coke I don't like. It's probably the difference in sweeteners. I think I told somebody my story. I can't remember. I probably Power Hour or something. I was telling you the story of when we went at her last tournament in Ohio, and I was on the hunt for Coke Zero. And I went to this restaurant. I went to a couple places looking for it. And then I pulled up and I said, "Do you have Coke Zero?" And she said, "Yes." And I pull around. I was like, "Are you sure it's Coke Zero?" Because she was saying Coke. And she said, "Yes." It was not Coke Zero. It was Diet Coke. And so I had to suffer through it, but it is not the same. I feel like Coke Zero has become more of the younger generation's Diet Coke. Of course, when I was little in the 80s, speaking of the 80s, my aunts, a couple of them drank Tab, which is probably the equivalent. Any of you drink Tab? I just know it tasted like a cola, right? I don't know what was so appealing about it. Probably the caffeine kick. Okay, so on this one, I think we can go ahead and put our borders down, and we'll do the embellishments. I mean, these are pretty big, so it's going to be pretty easy to embellish. Looks like we have the flowers. And I like these chipboard style. They're thick. They have some substance to them. And then we have our puffy ones. I'll get my finger. So I'm going to adhere my border first. If you want additional, height, you can add foam squares here. I don't want additional height. I'm just going to adhere this so that the bottom is covered up. I'm about 1 see, this is 1.5, a little below 1.5, about 1 3/8 from the bottom. Yeah, Diet Pepsi is not Diet Coke. I can handle Diet Pepsi. That's actually what I kind of started with back in the 90s. Because I did not like Diet Coke back then either. So Diet Pepsi is what I drank. But I feel like it's a little salty now. I can't drink that much of it. I love Diet Dr. Pepper. That's kind of my fallback. So Judith, what was it about Tab? Why did everybody drink Tab? And Barb's saying she did too. So educate me. Oh, Tab was the first diet soda. That's why everyone drank it. So it was even a precursor to Diet Coke. Interesting. Okay, I'm looking for the What a Lovely Day. So you have room here for a photo. So I'm going to have my sticker up a little bit, room enough to have my photo there, overlapping the top of it. And then I have my tulips and the yellow. These are definitely sticky. This is overlapping potentially a photo right here. I'm just going to adhere it just above. I would wait. If you don't have photos yet, it's probably best to wait to adhere these until you do. But that is layout number 1, 2-page spread. So a lot of cutting, but a little bit easier in the assembly. Okay, project number 2. Look for papers. Looks like we have green and pink for the base. So we're going to put the green on the left side, pink on the right. My goodness, these glow. Gotta cover them up a little bit. So at the top we have Y, X, W, and Z. So we're going to get into our striped pieces. Those are easy to find. So find your 1-inch stripes, so 4 of those. Those are going to go top and bottom. So Jenny, who made Tab? Was that made by Coca-Cola? How did Tab beat Diet Coke to the punch? She's giving us our diet soda historian. Okay, R and S, those are pink stripes. But don't grab, I guess it probably doesn't matter. You have pink stripes are actually the back of the other stripes. And then on the right side, we have green 1 inches. Find your green pile. Maybe we're on the reverse side. Let's see. M&M, double M, double L. Okay, it's the fruit pile. So it's the 1 inches in our fruit pile. And the back of that is green. And then we have KK and LL. So these are the fruit pieces. And then we have L, which is a mat, but it looks like a photo mat. And M, L and M both should have been purple mat. Oh, I think I missed cutting mine. Is that possible? The purple sprinkles should have had 2 4x6s, a 4x8. I think I didn't cut this one in half. Okay, Tab was made by Coke. And it was the first diet soda, and that's why everyone drank it in the 80s. Good job. We figured out the history there. Okay, so this we can adhere pretty easily. I would suggest starting at the bottoms, working your way up. This green is not my favorite, and I love green. It was just like, wow, very present. And then that green in the buffet this week too, a little goes a long way. Yeah, I think Jenny's telling us too about the studies. I remember cancer. Um, that's when they've started investigating all the artificial sweeteners. None of them are good. Sometimes our bad habits are hard to resist. This is very cute. I thought they pulled these colors together very well. And I remind myself that a lot of that green will be covered up with photos. It does look like a highlighter. You're right about that, Shirley. You guys know I like to hack things, and I debated actually trying to make this with a different layout, a different collection. But I realized with all of the amount of pieces that it had, I was going to have to put a fair amount of thought into choosing. The nice thing about this collection is it had so many tonals in it that the fronts and the backs work well. You know, you had a print on one side, a tonal on the other. And so you'd have to dig through your stash pretty deep to find papers that work so well front and back and then all mixed together also. We've had a few collections. I mean, ones I'd probably look at like Painted Garden or Golden Harvest because those collections went so well really with everything in it. If you wanted to repeat this cutting guide and make other layouts. But I realized I didn't really have the time to do that at a time. And then we have our mat down here at the bottom, and it looks like they just have a couple of stickers picked out. Cherish every moment with the cherries. Get it? Cherish. Cherish with the cherries. And then we have a little fruit cluster down here with the lemons. Super cute. They are adorable. That is layout project number 2. And then project 3 is also a 2-page spread. We get to give our eyes a break a little bit. This one is using Celestial Blue as a base. So start digging down, get your Celestial Blue. So there's 2 colors of blue. I believe this is the darker one. No, it's the lighter. If you look at these side by side on the handout, I think it's the lighter one, the way my printer worked. The darker one, I think, goes back here with the bikes. Someone did mention they were missing a sheet of the cardstock. So if that happens to you, then contact Creative Memories. As far as I know, we don't have these colors in anything else. We have the new lunar blue. Okay, so those are our base. And then this is where we get to have fun with all of those little squares. And then we need our 10.5-inch strips that we cut. So we should have 4 of those. And then go dig out all your squares. I think we're going to be using front and back. I'm going to flip them so it looks like we need yellow. And the orange. I'm just going to kind of put them in their close enough spots. At least I know they're all the same. I don't have to worry about being short on one end. Blue, yellow. Pink, green, blue grid, yellow, pink, green. So I'm missing one blue grid. There you go. This would be an easy time to pull out your T-ruler if you need some extra help lining these up. So they have, oh, we need the middle section too. So OO and PP. So those big pieces of orange. Are going to go down the middle. And the blue is going to show up. And then we have some mats. We can get those after. So if we adhere these pieces first, that will give us the start on the top and bottom of how to arrange them. So this piece is 6 inches, so you would be centering it between the 3 and the 9 on your cutting mat. And they're starting on the inside, taking the squares outside. And this is funny. They suggest adhering your 4x6 photo first to make it easier to adhere the squares. Well, we don't have any photos, but I do have a T-ruler. The challenge is going to be, like even when we try so hard to have straight cuts, sometimes they're not straight, but I care more about getting this top straight because this piece along the bottom will clean up anything we have that is off. You can use repo tape too if you are concerned about getting these in the right spot the first time. So I'm going to use a T-ruler to give myself a start over here on the edge. And then adhere our way across. The stripes, I'm going to put my stripes horizontal. You can put them vertical if that pleases your eye more. Move on with the yellow. Nice cherry sunshine. And finishing up with the blue grid. And then I need to adhere the strip here along the bottom. Close enough. Now I need to do that top side. If you want to stand up or you can, that's easier. Or you can rotate your mat like such and then work our way across this way. Yeah, Jenny, I've heard that too about the phosphate in soda is challenging for especially our female bones. So you have to be concerned about supplements. I've started thinking about that. I'm only 46, but I know that the days are coming of being mindful about that. Osteoporosis and some of the other challenges that we face as women getting older. I've been pretty fortunate to be mostly healthy. Adhere this across the top. So that's that side. Our mat back around. More time intensive than hard. And now we get to do the other side. Here, this first between the 3 and the 9. It's fortunate that I am healthy because I woke up last week and was logged into my credit card that I use for all of the business stuff, and I noticed that all of my healthcare premiums for this year I had paid Anthem were refunded. Like, I was like, why? Why are you giving back all my premiums? And somehow I get my insurance through the marketplace because of being self-employed. And um, I know what came up. So at the end of last year, so 2023, I also had an Anthem plan that was different. And my credit card got hacked at the end of the year. And so they gave me a whole new number. And with Discover, it's pretty good. Like most things just transfer over the payments. Discover transfers them and they all keep paying. But I didn't realize that my health insurance wasn't getting paid. And then I got a notice in January and I was really confused because I'd already applied for this year. I had a different plan with Anthem. I'd already had it set up. I had the account set up. I had the payment set up. And then I got a notice saying that my policy is canceled, and I logged in and I was um, confused because it looked active to me, my new one. And so I just ignored it. I was like, well, okay. I mean, I knew why it hadn't gotten paid, but nothing said, pay this now. And so then I started paying this one. And so somehow I think these wires have crossed. So Marketplace is saying that I got canceled for non-payment. Anthem is saying I got canceled for change in family status, which was never reported. I didn't have a change. I think it's all related to this non-payment, but I just paid 5 months, so I don't know. They're trying to sort it out. I'm like, well, I'm glad I'm healthy because I haven't even used it this year. So I would love to have all my money back if I could just implement insurance from June 1st moving forward. That would be nice. Save myself a few $1,000s. I have a feeling I will have to pay it all back though if I want to resume coverage for the end of the year. It's true, Judith. Jenny. Saying we all have to die of something. It's like you have to choose. What disease process are you willing to deal with? I worry that it's going to be my memory. Sometimes I don't remember things very well. I feel like it's the toll that working night shift takes. Like, I worked night shift only for 8 years. There's a lot of people that do it longer than that. But there's something about that sucks brain cells out of you. That and having kids, your memory's never quite the same again. I'm probably a little too high here. I'm going to move these down a little bit. I think I'm getting up too high on my paper. The benefit of repositional. If you don't like the direction you're heading, pull it up and start over. I'll just carry on. When we're done, I might have to stand up and look at that one, but it's hard to tell. But at this angle, I think it might be a little off. We're almost done with this one, though. We'll get through these layouts and then adhere this piece. Hopefully it's not horrible to watch, but like I said, the recording will be clean. If you want to come back later. I do like the stripes. I like how they pulled in the colors for all of them. So rotate that back around. So we have a space here for photos, or you can leave it blue. And it looks like on their layout, they have a couple of extra matte. So V and I and C. So V was the 4x4 of the pink, and I was the green. And then C was a blue grid. So you could adhere these now. You can save them for when you actually have photos. You might decide you want to move any of this over. I don't know how I keep getting my workspace crooked for you. I'm just going to do a real light repo, and that way if I decide I want to readjust them later, I don't always like crooked photos. Sometimes it's playful and fun. Then I can move them easily. We do have borders to adhere to this one. The sunshines, which will cover up our bottom seam. Very cute. I knew I was going to run through tape, so I had one ready. I almost told you guys, like, make sure you have your tape refills ready because this one goes through a lot of pieces. And then they use sunny days. I move my little mats down. Put it in there. It'll be cute. And then fun in the sun. Over here. And there's a few small ones like a sunshine, the sunglasses. Put the sunglasses. I'm going to hold off on my sunshine in case I do want to put it on the corner. Super cute. That is project number 3. So we have, it looks like 2 more. We have a 2-page spread. They're both 2-page spreads. I don't know why I was thinking we got into 1-pagers at the end. So these are going to pull together pretty quickly though. So for this one, we'll need the purple and the green. And then that should leave us the blue for our final layout. So we have O, J, the double R. So we need our big pieces of ice cream. One is bigger than the other. I agree with their choice to cover up more green. The smaller one on the purple side. Then we have a green 4x6 mat, a purple 4x6 mat, and then I think these are the back of the purple. Yeah, these little sprinkle white based sprinkle pieces for here and here. And then we have some strips along the bottom. So we have blue, and stripes. These look they're like fatter than, let's see, double T was the back of the ice cream cones, so they're probably buried under here. Yes, they are. We have these blue pieces. We must be overlapping because you don't see an inch of stripe, and I think that's all the stripes we have left. Yeah, you're going to adhere the blue dots above the stripes. So you can decide how much you want to overlap that. And then this is going to go against it. So if you want to see all of your colors, you could push the ice cream cones all the way to the top. If you want to see a little bit of the color still up there, you could push it down. And then you could adhere the stripes along the bottom. We know the stripes are going on the bottom. And then you can decide how much of this you want to see. It looks like they're showing about 1/2 inch. And then if you'd hear the ice cream down on top of that, you're going to get about 1/2 inch at the top also. Shifted my base paper, which shifts my ruler, using the mat as my guide. The ice cream's on top of that. This is where they are offering an alternative here. So if you have your corner rounder, if you notice on your handout, they are rounding the corners of all of these pieces at the top. So the top 2 corners of the ice cream and all of the mats are round. So I'll go ahead and do that. It is a cute little touch. We don't use our corner rounder very much. Most of us have PTSD from rounding everything on every layout for many years, but it is fun to throw in the rounded edges occasionally now as a design feature. You know, I don't mind the green, like in the ice cream cones and the popsicles. It's just this like full, the cardstock is so glowing. Even this is okay. You know, the paper itself is not quite so highlighter. I just don't like it. That's okay. We can try new things and then move on. I think actually the top. Okay, so they did not round their inner edges, so if you want that flush against the inner seam, don't corner round that one, but I already did. I'm going to leave it. This layout would be fun for a birthday. I actually could probably find birthday pictures from one of the years to go with this. Three of my kids have summer birthdays, so they're usually a little bit more colorful. So Angie, the ladies that still corner around everything, my guess is they've been scrapbooking since 2000, late 90s. I've definitely been around people like that. I don't think any of my active retreat customers round everything anymore. When you're scrapbooking on stark white pages, though, you had to do something. I'm glad that we have moved on past that. And I do like how we've been able to come back around, like with the Stardust cardstock that Megan and I used during Power Hour. I mean, it was fun to have some white that was not so stark. Even the little flecks in there offered a little bit of reprieve from plain white. Okay, so then this gives you room for your photos, photo, 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 photo. I reverse these. This is what happens when you talk at the same time. And of course, you could flip them. And then you have space for a small photo, and then they have the sweet life up here with the bicycle. Over here, it's super cute. And then they have a popsicle down here. I do usually buy some popsicles or something to have in the freezer still for my kids for the summer. I like the orange dreamsicles. Okay, we're moving on to our last layout, which is going to use the bike. So this one is going to be a little bit more steps, but we're almost there. We do have the Blast Off Blue as our bases. We're going to need all the bike borders, some stripes, and then a piece of yellow in here. The blue is going to be in the middle. And this is the yellow will go beneath it. Basically start picking up all the pieces you have left and seeing where they fit in. Oh, I did, you guys, I did mess up. So this is why I didn't see these off to the side. I'm gonna have to go back or I have to change. So they really were half-inch strips on the other layout. I didn't realize I still had 4 of these left. So on this layout is where those 1-inch strips are. They did not overlap the layout before they used half-inch ones. So I could use half-inch up here and it may be fine. It's just gonna be a little skinnier. I'm bound to make some mistake. Can't get through all of this. We can see. I think I might go back and pull them because it's not going to come down low enough into my clouds. And then this one will go over here. Have borders stuck to bicycles. Have green and green, orange and orange. I must have forgot to put borders on some of the other layouts. I would be shocked if we didn't use those borders. I have to go back and figure that out. I think that's all the pieces I have left, so that looks right. So this is me undoing my layout I just did, and this is why I use repo tape. But it's okay, it's easy to fix. And if you're just watching, now you know. You don't have to make the same mistake. I was impressed with myself. I thought I was going to get through this without any errors and any cutting mistakes, but this is a pretty minor one, I suppose. They did overlap, like in one of our NSD layouts, they did have a strip like this that overlapped, which kind of tricked me a little bit because it's not unheard of for them to. Keep the blue down. Pull that one. Get a 1/2 inch one. I'm going to have to pull down this blue one though. A little more. So it sits on top of it. Now I don't have the benefit of layering. But it fits right along in there, so that's fine. It's fine. No one knows. Except all of you. Okay, so I have those. So let's look at the instructions. So they're saying put AA and BB at the top first. So that's the pieces I just pulled up. I will add a little bit of additional adhesive across the top. You know, even if you don't want to like recreate all of these layouts, you can choose any of the sketches to build on for other ones. I do need to put down this yellow first because this yellow is going to go underneath all of it. So I was thinking about which Border Maker cartridges could we do the offset thing like we did with the bikes. And I don't have a long list yet. I was trying to think of, I mean, like Rolling Hills has a similar feel, but the hills, the trees are along the whole thing. So it's not going to be the same offset impact. I think I was decided I was just going to have to go like spin my carousel and look through the punches to see if there was any of them that would offset while using the same technique. Okay, so I have my stripes at the top. And then now they want us to do the orange bikes first. So I do need to have this centered on my mat because we're going to look at where the top of the bikes are. And they want them approximately 2 3/4 up from the bottom. So there's 2, 2.5. And with the top of the bicycles there. So that puts the bottom of it, which would have been a little bit easier to tell us, about 7/8 from the bottom. So if it's easier to look at that straight edge, about 7/8. So before I move on, I can, dry fit this to see if my overlap is going to work. And it does look appropriate. And here are my blue ones. So the blue is going to be about 3/8 off the bottom. And then the green go at the bottom. And then we have our 1/2 inch. About a 1/4 inch from the bottom. No, on the road. Yeah, that's a good one, Jenny. On the road would be good with the cars. Like, what did I just say? How far off the bottom is 6? Now I covered my edge. I said 7/8, right? 7/8 on the bottom. This was about 3/8 from the bottom. And then the green at the bottom. And then a 1/4 inch for our stripes. We have our large mat. You can use to layer with your photos. This one looks kind of like an oddball here in the middle, but once you start layering your photos around it, it would be super cute. And then we have our tile border across the top, just low enough that I'm covering up the seam of the stripes with the clouds. And then all you should have left then are stickers, hot air balloon, life in motion, and rainbow. And that is project number 5. So where did these other borders go? I have cherries and ice cream. Okay, the ice cream on the one I just had. I got lost in the ice cream paper. Didn't even realize we had borders down here. It's a good thing I didn't realize it right away since I had to pull those strips up. To pull this one up to get it layered underneath it. I'm going to pull all these up. I'll pull that one up in the middle. Okay, so that was those. And then we had the sunshine, which I did. So number 2 had the cherries. with the fruit. So the one with pink. The cherry down here and a cherry up here. So I apologize. I was on the handouts on the bottom is where I keep looking, and then at the top is where you see where they put the borders. They have theirs down so that the cherries are along the seam of the stripes in the pink. And on this side, it's across the top. Very cute. And then that's the last set I had on there. So what is interesting is I still have 2 sheets of paper. So did they leave these formats? Maybe? I'm not seeing where it says it, but I have 2 extra sheets of paper that you can use for mats or your borders or an extra layout. Or is this supposed to have 6 layouts? And now I'm like paranoid. Am I missing a handout? But there's nothing else to make with it, just 2 pieces of paper. And then some extra stickers. So very cute secret box layouts. I think that's all of it. So not too bad. So that was only like an hour and a half. Yeah, I don't know if there was a bonus. If there was a bonus layout, it would only have had paper and a couple of stickers. I mean, although we do have this whole pile of extra, so you could easily make some borders or something with that. Shelly's saying she only had 1 grip left. So I have the grid and then I have a purple. Unless you're either I add an extra one or you're missing one or not. So interesting. I don't know. But there you go. This is all I have left. And then a couple of stickers. I mean, some of these that had place, but you could create your own bonus with all of that and your bicycle layouts. It does say 5 2-page layouts. So I have the full handouts printed. If you do want to stretch out your cardstock, obviously you could use something else in your stash or use your page for that. So I guess we could figure out counting. So it's 10 sheets for the base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We only cut 10 pieces of paper. So yeah, there's 2 extra sheets of paper with that. Well, it goes to show if I had made this ahead of time and been on the ball, I could have had a bonus layout made for you, but that didn't happen because I didn't realize there was going to be anything left. Usually they're pretty good about using most of it. So thank you all for following along. So how did the stream get any better or worse? It looked really bad to me on here. I'm excited to get this saved to YouTube so everyone else can watch it normally. So for those of you that watch me live, thank you. And I will continue to try to figure out what the issue is between my streaming and Facebook. I might have to try a Zoom class or something at some point with the streaming and try to troubleshoot where it is. Next Friday, I need to think through a little bit. I was going to have Simply Scrappy, but I didn't realize my brother and sister-in-law are going to be in town for my nephew's graduation. So I need to figure out what's going on with family first. So that's the bad thing about Fridays is sometimes it's going to slide into the weekend at times. Or maybe I'll do it on Thursday or something. So I'll look at the schedule and see what we'll work on next. I think we're going to do something not like this. We'll do something a little bit more inspirational where you can kind of adapt to whatever you want and not have to have the handouts or the project, but I'm glad we did this, because if I wasn't doing it for you, I won't lie, I probably never would have made these layouts. But they're fun, they're cute, and I'll add them to my stack of layouts waiting for photos. So thank you all for joining me, and stay tuned to my page, and I'll let you know what I decide for next week, because I do have a list of things to work on and show you. Some of them a little bit simpler than this. I am impressed. We did this in less than 2 hours, and by the time I even started this, it's only an hour and a half. So it's faster than I thought, considering how many pieces that we were cutting. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy your time, enjoy your weather, enjoy your family. And remember, never take for granted what we have today, because it could be gone tomorrow. So thank you all. I love you all. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.